Oh, there we are. You want to take it, Josh? You want me to?
Rock and roll. Take it to the house, Mike.
All right. Hey, good mornings, good afternoons, everybody. I am Mike Shaw, and I'm one of the RCC coaches, and I am with my esteemed colleague here, Josh Cooley. Hello, Josh.
Thank you. Good morning, Mike, or afternoon, I guess, for you.
Hey. I'm Central Time. Hey, real quick, if you guys are all here, if you guys are just popping in, if you want, just put in the chat which time zone you're in, which city, which area of the country you're from. We'd love to figure out where you guys are all at. So just as we talk, pop in the chat there. That'd be great. Today, we were talking about this webinar is going to be fast and furious, and we're going to cover three main objectives. And I know in the webinar advertisement, it said that it was going to be about online lead conversion and unlocking the secrets, but I want to make sure we appeal to everybody here, and that online leads are one facet of a lead, but you could take what we talk about today and apply that to your door knocking leads or your website registrations or the leads that you get from referrals, because conversion is more than just about getting a yes and saying that I have a client now. So we're going to talk about three big objectives today. Number one is what conversion is and what conversion isn't. We're going to talk about old school fundamentals. Do you even know what these things are because the market has changed so much, or have you just never taken the time to discover what those are? And the differentiators that make you a better converter, not just now, but in 2023 and ahead. So without further ado, we're just going to ask some questions, and just some general questions of why it's so hard, or why it's been harder to convert a real estate lead now than it has been in the past. Josh, you got any thoughts on that?
I love it. I have lots of thoughts. I'm going to try to keep it between the lines today. If there's any specific challenges you're having in your market, it's more than likely in all markets. So if there's anything that you want us to cover specifically to you, we can do that too. So just throw that in the chat if that comes up. So there you go.
Central Time. All right, guys. Hey, Sean Keen's here. Hey, Sean.
Amanda. Hey there.
Hey. I think about this in my spare time, and maybe I get too nerdy on this, but I spend a lot of my time thinking about the psychology of the modern consumer and why it is so hard for us to get a yes these days, and what has changed. Is it post-COVID versus pre-COVID? Is it the traditional way of practicing real estate versus the modern way of practicing real estate? What are those definitions? And a lot of things that Josh and I hear from people all over the nation is that, the lead's less loyal. Oh, their expectations don't match this market. Josh said a brilliant thing, and I want to make sure I give him credit for this, that, we don't really like calling it a market shift. It's really the redistribution of market share. And is this market making a barrier for easy conversion because of the high rates and the high demand and the lower inventory? It's like this perfect storm for people to say, I'm going to wait or whatever. Or, folks, does it have anything to do with the lead not finding value in what most modern agents are providing? Like the knowledge gap between what the person knows on the internet versus what the agent knows, that's shrinking by the day. And so agents aren't adapting to spread that knowledge gap and give that value that's deserved. Does it have anything to do with the ability to find an agent who's going to say yes to you? And if that person doesn't say yes, they can simply click another button. Or yes, they have high expectations. Yes, their expectations do match the market, but they have high expectations of that particular agent guiding them through this competitive market. So that's what conversion, that's the icebreaker of what conversion in essence is and what's expected of us as agents in 2023.
I love it.
Josh, any thoughts on that? Any expansion?
Yeah, just to distill it down, with a sale or a transaction of this amount of money, of this importance, people buy from people, right? So this is a connection game. People want to know that they can get value from you and they can trust you, and ultimately you're just connecting with them up front. So I've got a little secret on that. at some point today. I won't go into too much detail on it, but how do we get in front of people and show value where they have about every piece of information online, and most of them would not like to talk to an agent until now they're ready to write an offer. And we know, and if you sold homes and you've done this thousands of times, you get that there's so much education that we can do ahead of time before they're ready that they don't even know they need. So the game is, how can you connect and get them to go, yeah, I should probably think about that, or I didn't think about that, or boy, Mike, you're really standing out. All of the other agents keep saying the same thing over. They're checking in on me, or say, let me know when I can help. And you're actually slowing this down at a very emotional time and helping me think through it. Like, take on the role as a coach, maybe, when you're converting.
I love it. Yeah, having that consultative approach and recognizing that, the market isn't really asking you to be as influential as, well, to be the most influential agent, maybe in recorded history. The market is begging you to do this. It's telling you to do this. And I always say, be paranoid. Be paranoid as a real estate agent, or be paranoid in whatever it is that you do, that somebody else out there is trying to figure it out faster than you. And folks, we're going on a year of this, a year of this market turning as quick as it did, with the interest rates rising and the demand doing this. And I'm sure all our markets have similarities in some way, shape, or form, but it's begging us to be as influential and an awesome communicator, an excellent teacher, and a consultative kind of practitioner with our buyers and sellers. So let's get into what conversion is, and I'm going to rifle through some ideas for you, because we could teach conversion for days and days and days and still not cover it all. So
wait, Mike,
I'm gonna.
You actually do teach conversion every single day.
Oh yeah,
okay,
that's right, I do.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's like all I do. So it's on the top of my brain, and I want to give you everything I can in 10 minutes or less, but we're gonna get after this. So take some notes. I know we're recording this, and if you need expansion on this, I'll kind of skip ahead. If you need expansion on any of the stuff that we're talking about, we coach this at a high level. We coach this across the nation. We coach all shapes and sizes of teams, individuals. Josh does a lot of one-on-one stuff. So if you want expansion on this, we're here for you, and we'll have some information for you at the end. So let's talk about what conversion is. And in an essence, conversion is providing a great value to somebody in the minutes that you have with them. We don't get hours with people, because the hours that we used to get are now being spent online, or they're spent doing some other kind of lurking research without you. So a lot of times we find that people raise their hand and they're ready for an agent after they've done a lot of homework. So they might already have some preconceived notions of how the market works, or some information. Heck, they might already know more about the property than you do. So in the minutes that we have with people, we have to be effective. And what is effective? Well, it's first understanding your market. It's understanding your zone. It's the mastery of turning a presentation into a performance. It's being effective enough so that when you call that person again, they pick up the phone because they're excited to hear what you have to say next. It's identifying personality profiles so that you can adapt to them. It's strong online visibility. It's having a good online footprint, utilizing video, having strong reviews, putting a face with the name, and doing the things that your competition isn't. And Josh made a great point yesterday. It's doubling down on some things. You can speak to that, Josh.
Yeah, we'll first say double down, because I think it resonates with most agents, and then let's just take it away. It's horrible. It feels icky. I don't want to double down. Let's reframe that. If you're not showing homes like you used to, if you're not negotiating contracts like you were 18 months ago, just asking you to double down on your effectiveness, right? Spend a little more time preparing for these lead calls. Get in the zone of what were you talking about last, and how can we continue that conversation? Talk to lenders, educate yourself. There are so many ways that we can solve problems, and that's where I think agents are failing everyone, and failing ourselves, actually. We can be getting smarter, we can be asking better questions, and we can be slowing down. That would be my interpretation of what doubling down means, is just more focus on what we're doing. It's simply the difference between FHA and conventional loans when it comes to what percentage of the purchase price can you ask for closing costs. It's kind of a big thing. That could get you a couple sales today if you go through your pipeline and solve that problem, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Double down up here. And if I think anyone would agree, if you sat down with a potential client, let's just say a buyer, for 20 minutes, and you asked question after question after question, and they answered each question, I'm pretty sure all of us here would be comfortable saying, this is what you want, this is what you don't want, this is what you expect from me, let's do business together. Well, let's make sure we're making those 10 2-minute phone calls to earn that right. Because like Mike said, we're not going to get hours. The buyer consult's kind of gone to the wayside in a lot of places. So doubling down on being effective. Go back and look at your systems and how you're doing it. If it's not working, a couple little tweaks and you're probably right back in.
Exactly. Yeah. And for a lot of the people that we talk to, it's like, well, my conversion rate is good. You know, if you track that kind of thing, which you should. I mean, you should know your numbers, but sometimes when you get into the micro of everyone's day and you say, well, I want to kind of double down on you. Do you know what makes you money? Yes, I do. Okay. How much time are you spending in those activities? I don't know. Okay. That's a clue. All right. And then we've got to double, once we identify what makes us money, I think then we can figure out like, okay, I can be a better converter if I spend more time doing those activities, right? And it sounds so simple, right? Like get out your planner and get out a calendar. And I think there's an order of discipline that you have to have, but I think there's another step to that. It's being obedient to the things that you said that you were going to do. And like Josh said, you can't really be an effective converter unless you spend time to be ready for those moments. So surround yourself with great people, surround yourself with a good calendar and a time blocked schedule that are entirely focused on making you money, tracking your numbers, being skillful. And I think where we all got sideways, maybe myself included, is money was easy to make 3 or 4 years ago. And now that it takes a little bit longer for that person, that lead, to say yes, we've kind of forgotten what those long-term follow-up skills were and what those old school fundamentals were that made us money. And now it seems like extra work, but in reality, 3 or 4 years ago, that was our day-to-day. And so that's a good segue into what conversion isn't. And I think conversion, to me, anything that you did 5 years ago is not conversion today. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. Making the transaction about you and your schedule, that agent-centric approach, is not modern day conversion. Overqualifying the lead is a big problem, right? Especially if you make cold calls, or if you get inbound calls or online leads, anything like that. Overqualifying the lead, that 20 question thing that Josh just said. Do you have an agent? Do you have a house to sell? Are you pre-qualified? How many houses have you seen? Most people, if not all people, hate being qualified. You hate being overqualified. So we're in this modern phase now where everybody's got information at the tips of their fingertips, or at the tips, you know what I'm saying? But we're not being service first.
No.
Most of us aren't being service first. We're still adopting that salesperson mentality. So we've got to have a little bit of a shift of our own to figure out what conversion is and isn't. And I think the biggest thing, folks, before I'm going to let Josh take over on fundamentals here in a second, is not understanding what your value is in 2023, and then asking, does the consumer even care about that? So it might deserve a pause in all of our businesses and figure out what it is that we can provide and if that consumer even cares. So Josh here has a lot to say on old school fundamentals and what that means.
I have to go on a quick rant on what conversion isn't. You can disagree. I don't care if you disagree. Kill AI, and AI is killing us. Most agents are automating themselves right out of the business, right? There's a place for AI. If you have 30,000 leads in a lead system, if you're on a bigger team or something like that, great. Let the AI, go be the attack dog out there. But when you're talking about your actual pipeline, if you are not connecting, and how do you do service? Like, how do you give great service? You first have to know what the expectation is of the other person, right? So by asking questions and getting in those relationships with people, now you're on the right path, and that will differentiate you. So kill AI. You should be doing human to human follow-up, taking great notes, and being patient with the process. Eventually you'll find, or you'll hear that thing that you're actually solving for. And there you go. Now you're on your way, and you can go talk to lenders or find a listing or find a buyer for a listing specifically based on that task, instead of just being all over the freaking place, right? Hammering out text and just calling people all day. Stop and solve the problem. That's clients I work with, and we work on this a lot. That is a big issue right now for bigger teams with a lot of leads. They're doing a really crappy job of listening and then following up to that next step. You can't just put people in boxes. Okay, heater done.
Nice.
Old school fundamentals. I've already said it. People buy from people, right? Old school fundamentals of pipeline, right? I mean, it was fish in a barrel 18 months ago. All you had to do is go to an open house or get a listing and your phone would ring. It's not exactly, it's still working some places, right? But that has really slowed down. So if you're judging yourself right now, or you're getting your good feels or your energy from a closing, probably bad news, right? Closings come here and there. Single agent does 50 or 60 a year. That's pretty good. That's 300 days a year. You're not in a great place. So what is a win? I'd say it's pipeline. If you're moving people daily in your pipeline, that's a good thing. And think cyclical income here, right? If you're hurting for cash right now, it's tax day. Dang it. If you're hurting for cash, if your pipeline is not where you want it, your escrow isn't where you want it, I'm sorry, fact police, that's kind of on you, but we can fix that. The pipeline being set up when rates go down or when you have opportunities show up, you could put 10 in escrow in a month, right? So if you think of this as a year thing, like you're committing to a long time of work, I think we all want to be in this industry for a while. So what are you doing every single day to move your pipeline? That's a big question. Keep in mind, 10 2-minute phone calls is a 20-minute conversation. At that moment, you're good. So what are you doing to move people through that process, right? Mike, anything to add to that?
No, that's just a really valuable question. And I think if we were in a, it's like what's the word I'm looking for? If we were in a big room of people and you asked that question to, an audience of 1,000 people, I think they would be met with silence, because a lot of people just they're not thinking about their pipeline in that way. They're not thinking about expanding their pipeline in this type of market. They're just trying to bear hug everything and keep it all together. They're not thinking about, like, well, if rates, like you said, if rates went down 2 points today, what would you say to your pipeline? Would your pipeline be in a state where they would be anxious to pick up your call? Has it been a while since you've reached out to your pipeline?
And giving yourself a reason to make that call. So let's say you're talking to someone, and if you're not leading in with this right now with buyers, try it out. Like, hey, Mike, I see you looking at homes on my website. My guess is rates are crushing you right now, and we're not looking to actually pull the trigger because of interest rates. Can we label that? That's most people. Perfect. Well, rates are 6.5 today. What payment would you really like to have? What are you shooting for?
I'd like to be under 2,000.
Crap. You know that now. So if rates do go down, you can go back in and you've got 20 people to call, because you know that now they're in their zone of where they said they wanted to buy. Are you asking questions like that? Is that what your pipeline looks like? Or did you just have A's, B's, and C's, or 7, 8, 9, 10? The more specific we can get and something happens, now you've got people to go add value to.
Josh, we got a question. What do you mean by pipeline?
Okay. In any sales organization that I know of, or sales profession, you have a pipeline. You have people that you've talked to. You could go to a soccer game with your kids, and someone says, when Sally graduates from high school, they're planning on downsizing or moving to Hawaii. if you're in real estate, I don't care if it's a year from now that they're talking about, that human being should be in your pipeline, and we should be connecting with them in the next 3 to 4 months so that we've got a chance at an at bat to list their home when it's home, right? Pipeline can be anything from talking to a buyer lead that says, Mike, I really don't want to talk to you right now. We've got to sell a home before we do this. A lot's going on. Like, ding, you need to sell a home. Pipeline, boom, right? A reason to follow up with them later. So yeah, pipeline, anything from out in time to someone that's referred to you from a friend or family or your sphere that says, hey, Sally and Joe want to move, right? Give them a call.
Yeah.
So
Yep. And whether you're using a CRM or you're using a spreadsheet or you're just using a Rolodex or just a pen and paper, it's a good idea to sort all your leads and track all your leads however you see fit. I used to sort everything by a status, and that status was tied to a time frame.
ooh,
And I could either color code it or whichever way I chose to do it. I would know exactly what's happening with my pipeline based on their time frame. So it would dictate everything. It would dictate my notes. It would dictate my follow-up. It would dictate the cadence of how urgent I would sound in my follow-up, either through text or call. And I think over time, you fall on your face a couple of times where you're like, wow, it took me too long to follow up with that person, and now they're halfway through a new build. Shame on me, right? But so it takes a little bit of a tactical approach and a day-to-day approach to stay on top of every single lead in your pipeline or your database, whatever you want to call it. But sort it and track it. That way you can understand if you're doing well.
And touch it, communicate with it.
Yeah.
Gus, I'd answer it this way too. If anyone shows me their pipeline, give me your pipeline, give me your notes. I'll tell you how much money you're going to make in the next 9 months. Within tell me your average sale price, right? And we can go from there. You should be able to look at your pipeline and know exactly what your income stream is going to look like. If you don't like your pipeline and you don't like your income stream, add people to it, have better conversations.
One of the things that it occurred to me, it was like, random thoughts that you have during the day. And you got to look at your database or your CRM, all the people that you keep, in your spreadsheets. Look at that like your bank account. Okay. And if you look at that like your bank account, you add up all the price points of all the people that are in your database. And let's say you have $17 million worth of commissions in there, and you neglect that, or you don't stay on top of it every day. Is it reasonable to assume that that lead or that contact could be a lead in somebody else's database? Totally reasonable, right? So then you got to start looking at it like this. Are other agents making withdrawals from your bank account? That should threaten you. That should make you feel competitive. That should bring out the spirit in you to fight harder to keep in touch with these people, to make sure that you're the only agent that they really care to get communication from. And so therefore, that dictates how you have to be a differentiator in your market. Josh said this very clearly, and I want you guys to hear this again. Eliminate the words, let me know, just checking in, keep me posted, stay in touch, anything with whenever or basically in it.
Thank you for registering on my website.
Yes.
I didn't register on your website. I had to put in my information.
Right.
Words.
So there's no call to action. You're not communicating anything important. And there was a survey done that said that the most important qualities that people are looking for in agents are, number one, trustworthiness, and number two, responsiveness.
Yep.
Kind of a distant third was market data and insider information. So if we can do those things and we can incorporate that into our follow-up and consider ourselves differentiators when we do that, I guarantee you that the people that are also trying to reach out to this lead are just checking in. Right?
Would you say those three things again that people are rating or ranking agents on? Because when you're taking your notes, take that to the top. This is important.
Yeah. Number one is trustworthiness. Number two is responsiveness. And three is market data and insider information. So that could be how many coming soons you have, or some stats, or something in your zone that's worthy of a touch. There's 200% increase in price reductions this week. That means sellers are begging for you to come see their house. Okay. So as we talk about differentiators, we talk about what wins are in this market. We got 5 minutes left, so we're going to blast through this. I think Josh, you were going to take over. Like, what is winning in April of 2023?
Yeah, you've got to focus on the pipeline. Okay, so we have a small team here in Eugene, Oregon. There's 9 sales agents. By focusing on our pipeline, it's not odd for in a morning meeting that we do every single day to sell 4 or 5 homes. We may go a week without doing anything because people aren't ready. The people in our pipeline are not ready, or there's a solution we have not found. But when we're moving the pipeline and asking the right questions of what they need, and then we're communicating with this, we are slamming sales together because the solutions just came together that day. So are you working? Right? Professionals do it every day. Every single day you show up and you do the job. Amateurs, when they feel like it. Are you an amateur or you're a professional? It's not always sexy. It's not always fun, but it's also not rocket science. So to not do it, lots of words, to not do it is just a personal decision. When we're moving the pipe, that's the only thing we care about. Do you have a pipeline? Are you talking to it every day? Are you adding to it? Are you also eliminating people from it if they're not going to fit the mold, right? Are we spending too much time with people that will talk to us? We didn't ask the right questions to know they're not actually a candidate to buy or sell right now, right? Little trick for you with time going down. Chris Voss is a superhero of mine. He's a hostage negotiator of all things. Mirror, isolate, and label. And this is what I teach to our team as a strategy, more than scripts, more than scripting. I think agents can find their own personality to help them convert. Since we're talking about conversion today, mirror, number 1, mirror. When you mirror, you're just repeating the last few words that whoever you're talking to just said. It gets them to continue to talk. As you're doing this process of 10 2-minute calls, if you mirror and mirror and mirror, you'll get a little bit more information. Then we want to isolate. Once we have their timeline, the house they want, some of their financials, right? Say, Mike, other than these things you told me, is there anything else that would stop you from buying or selling a home right now if we could solve this problem? Now it keeps them from bringing up other things later, right? So you mirror them, get information, you isolate. Sounds like this is what we need is the label, and that's the last. So mirror, isolate, label. That conversion strategy is awesome, and you get to make it your own. You show up every day and do it and practice, and you'll be amazed what type of information you can pull out of people to help them, right? To provide that service.
You got it. You got it. And whatever these wins are for you, showing up, it's devoting a little bit more time to developing yourself so that I can spend X amount more time in income generating activities. Whatever these wins are for you, it's probably going to require you to go to an uncomfortable place, right? Heck, we already probably are in an uncomfortable place, right? Let's just be honest. But if we have to go to a painful place to get more productive, let's go there. Think about this. There's agents in your market that are in total free fall right now. I have no one to hold on to. They have no resources. They're certainly not getting any coaching, right? They're just hoping the market gets better. We got a couple minutes left, but whatever these wins are, it's time to really start solving problems with skills. It's time to start getting serious with our time, because blaming it on the market shift, I think is a cop-out, right? And I think what the most likely thing that needs to shift is our philosophy toward real estate. So I'm going to close on that. And as you can see, we've screen shared coaching versus teaching. We've got a QR code for one-on-one coaching. So if you want some expansion on that, be it for you or just some stuff that you can take to your team, you can scan that code there, and we can provide this to you in a slide after the presentation. And then we've got team coaching. So we have products for all different shapes and sizes. So if this was interesting and you want some expansion on this, we would love to speak with you on the side. So.
Ooh, we just hit 30 minutes. I have an assignment though. I have a challenge I want to throw out. Is that okay?
Yeah.
if we talk about a pipeline as a win, making your conversations authentic to who you are and what the client will tell you back, right? The mirror, isolate, label. You're a professional. You show up every day and you do this. I would test you here to do a 30 Thursday. We just started it on our team, made it up. 30 outbound calls, not contacts, 30 outbound calls. But on those calls, when they don't pick up, because we don't expect them to, if you send a personal text message, not AI, not anything silly, right? Something personal to the conversation you just had with them. I don't care if it's, I hope your daughter won her soccer game when you couldn't talk to me 3 days ago, right? If you're having 30 outbound followed up with a personal text, there's no way you don't get 2 to 3 people to respond with you to help move that pipeline. At 3 every 30, that's 12 a month. Tell me that 12 people in your world that weren't previously every single month won't change the outcome of the rest of your year. So watch this again if you want. That's the challenge. Make 30 outbound on Thursday. Tell me how it goes.
Love it. You're great, Josh.
Love you, man.
Thanks for everybody for coming. Hope this was informational for you, and we can send out some more content after this is over, and as well as the recording. So thanks again. Hope we see you soon.